Yeah, I'm sure sometimes they do. I don't think it's been like a huge issue in our relationship just because we're both, for lack of a better term, whitewashed.
Very
whitewashed. So it's not very, it doesn't really affect us too much, but I'm sure, in cultures where there's more difference, I think that having couples in the same culture would probably help or be more difficult if it was vastly different.
Maybe not cultures. Just communicating effectively, but being able to understand their background and why they are the way they are.
Yeah, I think they do, because I think because like if you know two different languages, like there's differences in each of the languages, like maybe like feelings or words like you can't translate into a different language. So because of that, like I think you can like communicate more efficiently with each other.
I feel like they have maybe more things they can like relate to, but I don't know if it's easier by communicating. I feel like it'd be the same regardless of ethnicity.
Especially now, since like we all are like either like second generation, like Asian or something like that. I think it doesn't really matter what ethnicity like for communication.
I haven't all my friends that have dated the same race. But sometimes it's good. I don't know. It's just the individuals. It's really like I said.
Think it's your foundation.
Value. It's really fun to just connect.
I think like maybe most of the time they may like jump to conclusions regarding how the other person feels, like, oh, this is how it is in my culture, but...
yeah, actually that makes sense. Like with different cultures, maybe you have more of a willingness to...
be more aware of just like their personal...
and open to something different, because you automatically assume that things are different, whereas same culture, I feel like you already know how it is at your house, so you probably already know how it is at their house, so you just assume you know how they're going to feel about a certain situation.
You may not completely understand where that person comes from if they have a different background than you, and no matter how, like if it's very important culturally to you, no matter how much you explain it to someone, they still may not hold the value as important to themselves or fully understand it. So it may just be like a conflict, or the other significant other may feel uncomfortable in a certain situation if they're around your family, and they just may never fully understand the idea of why you participate in that.
I think the biggest issue is if the two people were taught to communicate in different ways, that they'd have a hard time communicating and seeing eye to eye.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think like it all depends on how you're raised and how you are taught to communicate with certain people. Like I know some people were taught one way and then another person's taught the other way. Obviously you have to meet somewhere in the middle, and that can be a challenge.
Yes.
Okay,
Do you want the example? Okay.
You got it.
So, we were at her family's place pretty recently. Oh, okay. And her family asked if I wanted a salad. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll get a salad. And so I went with her cousin to go get a salad. And after we left that evening, Sophie said, if my other family was there, you would have gotten in trouble. What are you talking about? Because, what do you say? If you don't ask everyone else if they want something when you get up,
It has to do with the whole hospitality thing. Like if you get up or do something, you ask everybody else if they need anything. And he didn't ask me, so I kind of...
Because she already said no to the question, so I didn't get why I needed to ask again.
Yeah, and to me that was being nice. If I said no at first.
We're still going to get in a fight about this.
No,
so.
we're not. Okay. But, yeah, like in my culture, like it's nice to like keep on asking, even if the person says no. Like you're just persistent. And he didn't understand that, so I had to explain that.
So they're basically lying by saying no when they should just be saying yes.
So that's the situation.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So, I had never really, actually, I don't think I've really actually brought a guy around the family before, and especially in our culture, like,
girls are kind of like, they're not like treated really differently, but it's kind of like you have to be very careful the way you act with a girl. And the first time, like, or he's always like, when my parents would introduce him to other people, he's always introduced as, this is Sasha's friend. It's like supposed to be a known fact that he's my boyfriend, but it's kind of like almost inappropriate to say it. Like, it's kind of, I guess you could say, disrespectful. Is that how you'd say it? And it's like, in his culture, like, it's, I mean, not that it's not accepted in mine, but it's like, hey, if you love this person, like, show me that you can hold hands. Like, it's more, I guess, obvious.
Yeah, it's just more like, I guess for me growing up, it's like, be proud of it, you know? Show it off. Like, we're not going to be like there, like, making out in front of our family, right? But you can hold your hand, like, show that this is my girlfriend, you know? I think another part is that her family is like, it extends beyond 4 people in her immediate family. You know, it's like her aunts, her uncles, her grandparents, everyone. They're all one big family. And in my culture it's like that, but the most important is my immediate family. So if there's disagreement between my immediate family and my extended family, my immediate family will always win. And we always like pat each other back and like forget everything else. Whereas it's a lot more like, it's more of a web effect in her family where like, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so don't talk about anybody, because if your aunt says something, that's okay, you know what I'm saying? You can't go against that. And to me, like, in my family, it's like, if your aunt has a problem with that, then that's your aunt, sorry, but this is the girl that you love, the girl that you've chosen to be in your life, so we're going to support you by supporting her. So it's a lot more like, close-knit, I guess. And hers is more like, we're all one big happy family. So that was hard for me to get used to, because at first I felt like I was like not appreciated. I was like, I'm just a friend, really, like, because I would never fly in my family and be like, well, what do you mean just a friend? Even my parents or my aunts would be like, what do you mean just a friend? Is it really just a friend? Are you joking with me? So they get it at me because they're like, they don't play around, you know.
I think mostly like when he's introduced as just a friend, it's to the older people, like the elders, kind of. It's like, oh, hey, we don't want to know, you know, what's happening with this. Am I allowed to do an Indian accent right now in the video? Okay. But yeah, it's kind of like, hey, this is disrespectful. So, you know, it's kind of like you just have to be, I'm sorry, hi, Professor McGuire, by the way, I hope that made your day. Okay. But yeah, so I guess he explained it pretty well.
I guess in my culture, like, I was always taught to, like, be receptive, so maybe it's easier that I'm always willing to hear.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah, I'm always willing to hear.
That makes a big difference, definitely.
Because some cultures, it's like, with men especially, their word is the final word, you know, and I wasn't raised like that. Everyone's equal, so.
I guess in a larger scope of things, at the beginning of the relationship it might have been hard, but understanding that there was serious cultural differences made our communication styles a lot more open to like what could happen, in the way that like at first I was very like understanding and frustrated, whereas now understanding that her culture is completely different from mine and the communication styles are a lot different, now I'm a lot more open to different communication styles. Whereas before I was very like, if I don't get it, if this was not understand what's going on. Now I'm very like, okay, this could be a variety of, this could be happening for a variety of different reasons. So we need to be aware of that. They're not talking about because they don't like me, or that aunt or uncle is not talking to me because he hates me, but because, you know, they're being respectful or something. You know, there's just so much that's in the grand scheme of things to just open me up on communication styles. Not necessarily one incident. That's, yeah.
Maybe more on my mom's side, because they were all white, and I knew my grandparents were a little bit racist when it came to dating the darker side. But they're not here anymore, so I guess that's the only thing that crossed my mind. Other than that, no.
But your mom dated someone though.
Yeah, and she was like shunned for it.
Yeah, his father is actually part black, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, but
So.
I mean, other than that, no.
Yeah, for me it really didn't either. I mean, my father's white, so I'm very comfortable being around white people. Partly because the Seventh-day Adventist community too is the majority of it in Northern California is white, so I don't think I had a problem going into this relationship and this cultural background.
Did it?
For me personally, it was a little bit different. It was a little bit harder for me, and this is something she doesn't know. I haven't really told you this. But for me, my father is a miracle, and he's been to war many times. Most specifically, in the past couple wars. And my idea of Middle Eastern cultures is a little bit tainted by the way that I know that there's been certain people from that region of the world that have tried to harm my father. So that kind of made it hard for me to start the relationship because it was having schema issues. I was like, okay, it's not her, it's people that are associated with our region of the world. So that made it difficult, but realizing that in the same way, her parents could be very rigid and not want her to date outside of her culture made me more open to the fact that I should appreciate the fact that I have the opportunity to date someone from another region of the world that a lot of people aren't able to. So if anything, it made me appreciate it more after I had to get over the hump of figuring everything out in my mind.
I think for me, I didn't really I kind of looked at his culture as his personality. I didn't really think of Mexican or American. I kind of just focused on what he was. So I didn't really I wasn't like, oh, he's Mexican. I don't know. So, I mean, yeah.
For me, it didn't. Just because it's more about who the person is, not depending on where they come from or how they are, just who they are without their race and ethnicity included.
Yeah, I don't think it really makes a big difference. I think the person itself, how they hold themselves and how they were raised and how they took away the rules that their parents taught them is what really matters.
Year and a half, yeah.
About a little longer than a year and a half.
2 months.
2 months.
1 year and 2 months?
Yeah.
A year. And a few days.
We just had our 2-year anniversary.
A year and a half. More than a year and a half.
A year and a half and a week. Yeah. Almost there.
Almost 7 months.
2 years.
A year and 10 months?
Yeah, 2 years in August.
A year and almost 6 months.